Recently, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, announced that it had concluded arrangements with approval of President Muhammadu Buhari to redesign some of the country's currency denominations, 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira notes. The Apex Bank said by 15th December 2022, when the new notes will be rolled out, these currencies will be wearing new looks and will run side by side with the old notes as legal tenders until 31st January 2023. The Apex Bank advanced several reasons as to why it is embarking on the exercise. It said, among other things, it envisages that the proposed redesign would have significant effects on efforts to tackle insecurity, as it would dislocate the ecosystem of financial transactions in the kingdom of kidnappers. Because, according to Miefele, about 80% of the currency in circulation is outside the banking system, a factor that eases the payment of ransom to kidnappers and terrorists. He also said it will render very difficult, if not impossible, the venture of vote buying during the forthcoming general election, as well as tackle inflation. So, redesigning the currency, which will necessitate the return of the old ones by holders to the bank in exchange for new ones, will give the managers of the country's currency and economy the firm grip they need on the naira for effective management. Many Nigerians have hailed the move and agree with the CBN governor's position, especially on the need to curb inflation, render cash in the hands of insurgents unusable, undermine counterfeited ones, and prevent vote buying. An aggregation of these, it is also believed, would shore up the value of the naira against the dollar. But some say it is ill-timed, while others say poor Nigerians will be at the receiving end of the effects because many poor unlettered Nigerians are yet to embrace the banking system. Hence, as a follow-up to our previous program, we shall look at the CBN campaign to the grassroots and achieving successful outcomes in the face of expected limitations of banking services. That's our focus on Weekend File tonight. I am Ian Ray John. And our guest is Uche Waleke, Professor of Finance and Capital Markets at the Nasarawa State University. But first, the news. Despite the progress made so far, the Nigerian government has identified the need to devise innovative and scalable approaches towards achieving the sanitation and hygiene targets of the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo alluded to this exigency at the opening of the 2022 World Toilet Summit in Abuja, a program co-sponsored by Reckitt Nigeria, a multinational consumer goods company. Musbao Dan Wahab reports.
This is the popular Berger roundabout in Abuja, a confluence point for thousands of people who throng the nation's capital daily. Take a scenario of someone from this crowd who is pressed here. A search through my camera lens provides no option. No public sanitation facility around here.
For you to say that a country is open defecation free, it means that households must have toilets, the public, the motor parks, the institutions, the health facilities, all must have toilets.
Situations like this, in addition to ignorance of consequences and cultural beliefs, among other reasons, have placed Nigeria in world spotlight, with 48 million people in the country still practicing open defecation. And on the average, construction of about 2 million toilets is required annually till 2025.
While governments must acknowledge their role in providing the needed leadership to rally all other stakeholders in contributing to improved and sustainable access to sanitation services, the development sector, the private sector, civil society, research institutions, media, and other stakeholders must also play their roles.
Hosting the 2022 World Toilet Summit is highly significant for Nigeria at this period, in view of our journey towards the creation of an open defecation-free environment, improved health services.
Beyond addressing the health concerns, participants here are also unpacking the innovations inherent in the sector for economic development.
When the country is clean, it attracts investment. When there's investment, there's job. And high productivity when people are not sick.
If we have adequate sanitation, we can defeat these diseases.
Where we are trying to drive the awareness program with the consumers and with the people so that to make them understand that open defecation is not the right thing to do. And to make the economy grow and make the country grow, we have to ensure this country becomes open defecation free. So that's the pursuit we are in partnership with the government.
In the Clean Nigeria campaign, Jigawa was celebrated as the only open defecation-free state in the country, where President Muhammadu Buhari, Water Resources Minister, and UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed were among those inducted into the Hall of Fame of the World Toilet Organization. SDG 6.2 targets good sanitation for all by 2030. So, this summit is therefore expected to be a real shot in the arm for Nigeria's desire to end open defecation by 2025. In Abuja, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
Many thanks, Ms. Bao. Meanwhile, stakeholders see November 19 as a perfect opportunity to mobilize national engagement to enhance sanitation and hygiene. To this end, the campaign is to end open defecation as well as promote access to clean and safe toilet. Deborah Gazazi in this report examines World Toilet Day, observed 19th November annually.
Indicates that the world is facing global sanitation crisis. It also says 3.6 billion people are living with poor quality toilets that ruin their health and pollute the environments. Consequently, the World Toilet Day has been an annual United Nations observance since 2013 that focuses on raising awareness about access to toilets for all.
Having toilets in the house as a neglected issue. It is as important as having the kitchen or even the bedroom.
If we have good toilet culture, we will spend less on medicine and hospital bills. And in fact, when I came back to Nigeria, the first thing that struck me was, coming from the airport, I saw people stooping down in those drainages along the highway. I asked the driver, what is this guy doing? He said, a guy is using toilets. Okay.
Don't go and do number two, as I say. If you go and just make a wee, you should be able to flush and you should be able to wash your hands. But this is not so, and it's a shame to try in our own part to sensitize the public, to create awareness in order to reduce the act of defecating openly.
By the year 2030, equitable access to sanitation and hygiene for all, with ending open defecation is United Nations targets. Deborah Gazaji, NTA News.
And from Deborah, we move to Anthony, who says one critical component that resonated at the just concluded United Nations World Tourism Organization's Global Conference held in Lagos was the involvement of youths and the showcasing of their capacity to use their ingenuity to place tourism in Nigeria on a modern platform in line with best global practices. Let's see Anthony Forson's report.
Conference took into consideration the vital role of youths in contributing to remodeling tourism for the future. In this session, youths with startups specifically designed for the tourism sector showcase their innovation.
The goal of the application is to make our tourism accessible to everyone.
We are trying to improve local tourism. So by the time we launch, hopefully you get to see places close to you and you can explore.
With Nigeria, our main goal is to take away the stress from planning a trip. With that, we focused on certain problems that we discovered that the tourism industry faced in Nigeria, which is outdated information, access to markets, and customer service.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed expressed satisfaction that Nigerian youths have the ingenuity to channel their energies into positive use.
I'm very inspired and very excited. These young men and women are so talented and they are so tech savvy. You call them together and give them that chance. Look, how can we harness your talent, your knowledge of the IT, to make tourism easier for us? How can you use your knowledge, your talent, your skill to navigate local areas so that when I'm coming from Kano to Ajegunle, you can have an app that will help me to know where the important milestones in Ajegunle, where they are. That is precisely what this session is all about.
This session was a contest, and the winner will be invited to Madrid, Spain for upgrade and support. Anthony Folsom, NTA News.
In other news, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, says it will appeal the decision of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, which dismissed the 10-count charge of corruption brought against the former secretary to the government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal. In a statement in Abuja, the FCC says Lawal and others are being prosecuted on amended 10-count charge bordering on fraud, diversion of funds and criminal conspiracy to the tune of over 544 million naira. Ruling on the no case submission made by the defendants, Justice Agbaza held that the commission, which presented 11 witnesses in the course of the trial, failed to establish the alleged offence. The court held that the commission did not establish that Babachir Lawal was either a member of the Presidential Initiative for Northeast that awarded the contract of, or a member of the Ministerial Tenders Board that vetted and gave approval to the disputed contract. Dissatisfied with the verdict, the FCC has given indication that it will obtain a copy of the judgment for urgent review and challenge its validity at the appellate court. Power projects at the Kano transmission region of the power sector hold a promise of increasing power generation by 22,000 megawatts when completed. Minister of Power Abubakar Aliyu made this revelation while inspecting power projects and facilities in Kano, from where Elizabeth Yila reports.
The visit by the Minister of Power is to inspect the numerous projects being executed, geared towards improved power generation, transmission, and distribution. While at Kumboso Transmission Substation, the minister revealed that contract has been awarded for a 600 megawatts double-circuit line from Kaduna to Kumboso, which when completed, will ease the power load on Kumboso Substation. At Rimin Zakara, the minister inspected the 300 million voltage ampere project that has been completed and will soon be put to operation after all compensations for the right-of-way are completed.
Right now, the capacity is only 600 megawatts. So with the new line coming in, it's going to come with a capacity of over 2,000 megawatts.
The Minister of Power also visited a 54-year-old transmission station at Bangawundi with the state governor, Abdullahi Umar Ganduji.
Kano State government will do all it takes in order to ensure that we provide an enabling environment. The right of way must be a real right of way where there is nothing except something designed by TCN. So we assure them for that, and in a few days' time you will see us in action.
The minister also visited the 1 megawatt interconnected mini solar grid at Zawachiki under the Rural Electrification Agency, which can supply power to 1,000 households. This, the minister said, is part of the federal government's drive towards renewable energy sources. In Kano, Elizabeth Yila, NTA News.
Let's take a break. Weekend File continues shortly. Welcome back. Let's now talk politics. The All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council has inaugurated a 94-member directorate with the mandate of reviving the economy of the 19 northern states, CAM 2023. Benny Adams reports that the Trade and Economic Directorate, which was inaugurated in Abuja, is headed by Senator Gbemisola Saraki.
The North, consisting 19 states of the country, is known for a vibrant cattle, ram, goat, and other agricultural commodity markets that have flourished since the days of trans-Saharan trade routes. Today, the story is different, owing to insecurity and global economic realities, as the economy of the region is experiencing slow growth. But this is about to change with the inauguration of a 94-member Trade and Economic Directorate of the APC Presidential Campaign Council.
This administration will put in place policies together with the right roadmap for Nigerians to achieve their economic dreams where needs of all our citizens will be catered for.
With Kano Market as potential rich economic base, members of the Directorate commit to bringing on board policies that will create an enabling environment for trade and investment. The Directorate says it has developed a work plan with timelines as they plan to engage stakeholders across the 19 northern states of the country. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
Meanwhile, more political groups have expressed support to the 2023 Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima presidential ambition. Strategic engagement between the groups and the APC Presidential Campaign Council in Abuja revealed their unflinching commitment to the desired project. Salihu Gwanara reports.
The latest support is from the APC Northern Professionals, Artisans and Traders Alliance, with support based across the 19 northern states, including the FCT. Another support group is the Citizens Network for Peace and Development in Nigeria from South-South geopolitical zone.
The Renew Hope agenda for reviving Nigeria, inshallah. I am optimistic that excellence and professionalism will distinguish us from the crowd. It is for this consideration that we mandated ourselves to come as a group of professionals, artisans, traders from the 19 northern states of the Federation, with all available resources and strategy within our disposal to support Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima mandates in winning 2023 presidential election.
Our choice of Bola Tinubu is strongly premised on his wealth of political experience, intellectual sagacity, a knack for identifying and recruiting competent people, and the capacity to mobilize human and material resources for the accelerated and holistic development of the country.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu's belief in the philosophy of building the people to build the nation, the group say, is a morale booster towards promoting issues of governance, development and peace building, devoid of religion and ethnicity. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Still talking politics, the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria's People Party, NNPP, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, says if elected in 2023 presidential election, premium will be given to security and improved economy. Senator Kwankwaso disclosed this during his appearance on The Candidate, a presidential town hall series transmitted on NTA. He pointed out that as a former Minister of Defense, the security architecture of the country is not strange to him, so he would tackle it headlong.
So the police, we feel the number of police today is much less than they should be. And that was why from less than 230, we thought of making it about 1 million also. And of course, we are going to increase the other security agencies, ranging from the DSS to the civil defense, of course, to other areas that we feel that there is need for us to increase the number to ensure that within the shortest possible time, every square meter in this country is being taken over for Nigerians. Like the situation today, where many people in many towns and villages have to be paying to bandits and other criminals even to go to their farms.
The senator said his government will also pay more attention to the health sector to give the people a new lease of life and improve their well-being. He reiterated his firm belief in the restructuring of the country. And away from politics now, President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with former President Goodluck Jonathan on his 65th birthday on November 20, 2022. President Buhari notes the unique position of the former president in the growth and development of the nation, sacrificing personal ambition for the greater good of the country and successfully winning the hearts of Nigerians and the world as a man of peace by carrying on his legacy of truce and amity to many countries. The president joins the family in celebrating another milestone in the former president's life, recalling his political journey, which has been evidently shaped by the mercies and grace of the Almighty God. The president believes the friendliness, loyalty and humility of Dr. Jonathan will continue to open opportunities for service to humanity while defining a path for the former president to invest in people, institutions and nations. As Dr. Jonathan clocks 65, President Buhari prays for his well-being and that of his family. Similarly, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has congratulated the Yobe State Governor, Mai Mala Buni, on the occasion of his 55th birthday. In a statement by Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Ola Awoni, Senator Lawan applauded Governor Buni for living a life of service for his people and for promoting good governance in his state. Senator Lawan described Governor Buni as a Nigerian who has lived a life of service, who, since assuming the leadership of Yobe State, has impacted the lives of the people through good governance and focus on his people-centered programs in the state. And now to set the tone for our discussion on Weekend File tonight, let's take a background report, which says as the wait for the reissue of new Naira notes continues, Nigerians are hopeful that the process will carry everyone along. Musa Abubakar will give us the update.
The central bank's decision to redesign the Naira is still generating conversations.
There is a need for Nigerians to comply with the time frame considering the importance of the process to the economy. Convinced that the introduction of any new banknotes is a proud and important moment for the country.
Back from 4 weeks recess, the Senate is the latest arm of government to support the move by the CBN.
Some people have resorted to now going to buy commodities and the like. So I think these are issues that we also have to take note of.
1 month and a half is extremely short for what we're about to do. Because if you withdraw 1 trillion from this economy at once in a month, the ripple effect will affect everybody.
While it's a welcome development for many, some express their concerns, most especially for people at the grassroots.
The CBN should really now go on to very serious enlightenment, because there could be some people in some rural areas who might not even be aware of this policy.
The central bank had assured the public that the process will be an inclusive one.
It will impact them, particularly those who do not have bank accounts. We'll be introducing a number of tokens, and where people in our rural areas, even if you don't have a bank account, you should be able to conduct banking services without necessarily having a bank account. However, if you are carrying cash, you can go to the nearest bank branch near you. They will take your cash and open an account for you for the purpose of turning the old Naira right into the bank's vaults and then collecting the new Naira when we begin to release them.
A recent statement by the Corporate Communications Department of the bank reiterated the bank's commitment to protecting Nigerians in unbanked, underserved, and rural areas. As the countdown to the release date of the new notes continues, it is expected that the Apex Bank will extend its enlightenment to local communities. For now, time will tell. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Of course, Musa, the clock ticks. It's a few weeks to the deadline given by the Central Bank of Nigeria to completely phase out the old Naira notes from circulation. However, the information about the policy is scanty and inadequate, especially at the rural areas, which may lead to unwarranted rumor that may reduce the integrity of the policy. Ruth Ariyo Samuel reports using Lagos as an instance.
They don't even know if any money is coming out new. Okay. I'm just hearing for the first time.
I'm aware that they want to change the Nigerian currency, but I don't really know the actual currency and I don't know the date.
Mixed reactions by residents in the community to the redesigning of the 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The story is the same in most communities visited, low level of awareness. Due to the fact that majority of Nigeria's population are dwelling in rural areas where there is palpable drought of financial institutions, proper measures should be put in place given the timing, process, and the procedure for changing the naira notes, failure of which financial analysts argued may further economically emasculate the already weak common man.
Timing could sort of cause some kind of problem in the economy if you think of the fact that inflation has crossed over 20%.
The federal government and CBN need to partner the Ministry of Information, the media, and the National Orientation Agency to reach out to all the nooks and crannies of Nigeria and inform the masses on how to change their old naira notes.
Local language education on radio particularly and on television, and I'm sure that if they put that in place, it will work to help the rural area and the people outside of Nigeria to be able to have knowledge and then be able to bring the nairas in and meet the deadlines.
They can also, for communities where maybe few don't have radios or anywhere to connect with the outside world, local governments, they can get to the local government chairman, they can get to the communities, then they know their communities, the ballets, the audience, whatever they are, can go to them one by one, they should talk to their community, tell them what is happening. And the radio jingles should be in different languages.
Respondents are of the opinion that these measures can further improve the effectiveness, efficiency, and integrity of the program. They can also ensure the inclusiveness of the process and curtail the negative economic implications on the common man. In Lagos, Ruth Ariel Samuel, NTA News.
Many thanks, Ruth. And joining me now in the studio is Uche Owaleke, Professor of Finance and Capital Markets from the Nasarawa State University. Many thanks for joining us, Prof.
Thanks so much, Larry.
All right.
My pleasure.
Good to have you again.
Thank you.
So let's begin. Since the announcement of this policy, talking about the redesign of the Naira, do you think enough efforts have been made as regards sensitizing, the unbanked, the underbanked, and the underserved?
Right. I think some effort is being made, particularly on the part of the Central Bank of Nigeria. I'm aware that some sensitization and awareness campaigns ongoing using central banks, branches across the states. I'm also aware I've listened to some reports, on this redesign in local languages. There's one I listened to, in Igbo language that is also circulating widely. So I think the efforts are being made. But again, from the background reports, that we've listened to, what it also goes to show is that it's lending credence to the recent report by the National Bureau of Statistics, about the fact that 72% of those in the rural areas, are actually poor. And, the poverty indicator they use this time is the multi-dimensional poverty index, that speaks to acute deprivation, not only in the area of health or education, but also in living standards. And one of the indicators in living standards there is, the ownership of assets. So it says there that a lot of people in the rural areas don't own radio, don't own TV. Okay, so this is now lending credence to that report. So what this means is that the sensitization, the awareness should now go beyond TV, okay, radio, to, just as somebody observed, using the opinion leaders, in the communities, going through the traditional rulers, the chiefs, and possibly too going through, religious institutions, religious bodies, churches and mosques, to disseminate this information. And I also know that in some areas, town criers are still, around.
Effective, yeah.
Yes, they're still effective. So town criers can, particularly as soon as the president launches it on the 15th, it's important for town criers to go around, announcing that people who have these old notes, should go and change them. So I think some effort, are being made.
But
But
more
again,
needs to be done.
on the basis of relying on this data from the National Bureau of Statistics, it's important we go beyond radio, we go beyond TV to see how we can also reach out to these people. Okay, as I said, using the traditional means of communication outside of this
electronic means
beautiful
of information.
Yes.
Listening to you now, what comes to my mind is if some people would really want to use the banks, because for some of us who use the banks, we're groaning because of the charges. I'm sure you agree with me that there's so many charges, so many deductions going on with banks at the moment. And there's a report that says that in the past 9 months of this year, over 714 billion naira, was gotten by 11 banks as a result of online transactions, deductions, and whatever.
Yes.
Do you think that's is going to encourage people to want to use the banking system?
Okay, the beauty of this one, when I say beauty, I'm saying the positive thing about it is that the central bank has said that as far as depositing money into the bank is concerned now, that those charges are waived. Okay, of course, before now, in line with the central bank's cash-light policy, okay, if you took more than 500,000 naira, to the bank, you will be charged. But now the central bank is saying that limit is removed. You can take as much as you like to the bank, to deposit, because that is the whole idea, to encourage people to bring in, the money they have outside the banking sector into the, in the banks. Remember, for me, the primary reason the central bank is doing this, for me, the central bank governor read out a number of reasons. Okay, it bears repeating here. The central bank talked about the issue of dirty naira notes. Central bank also talked about the issue of counterfeiting the naira. But for me, the one that is primary is the fact that a significant quantum of cash is circulated outside the banking sector. Okay, people are holding naira notes. So this measure is meant to mop them up, to bring them into the banking system. Okay, so as not to cause a lot of distortions, in the economy, as not to cause problems for the central bank in the area of even currency management or in the area of implementing monetary policy. So I think that this idea is good, and that's why the central bank, is saying that you can bring in as much as you can into the bank, without charges, and the central bank has also said that banks are now required to extend their, operating time and operational hours.
And that brings me to my next question, talking about extending operating hours and all of that. Yes. We know there are certain communities in this country that do not have banks.
That's correct.
Of course, when you go to the northeast, certain parts of this country, you can't find banks.
Yes.
How will people in such communities now be able to, key into this policy?
Yes, no doubt about that. The number of bank branches, is on the decline.
In fact, the report says we just have about over 5,000 bank branches across the country.
Oh, yes.
A report by the World Bank.
Yes. So that should be expected with the advent of, mobile banking, advent of internet banking, advent of, all manner of payment means. You have ATM, you have, POS, and so on. So I also think that the agent banking system, should compensate for the fewer number of bank branches. Today, I'm sure you'll agree with me. If you go to a number of communities today,
would that not lead to some kind of fraud? Now, when you talk about having mobile, bank agents,
POS.
Okay, POS, yes. Because if I don't have an account, for example,
yes,
and then I have to exchange my money,
yes,
I do not understand what's going on, and you're telling me, okay, bring your money.
Yes.
The central bank wants to collect it. I don't have a bank account, and they don't
Yes.
open the bank account for me, and they take my money and tell me, don't worry, come back at the end of
Yes.
January.
But
you get new notes. I mean, would that not lead to some form of, frauds, manipulations here and there?
You see, what I expect to happen, okay? This is natural. You are likely going to have some middlemen, imagine as a result of, this development. Yes, you have said it. People in far-flung areas, in remote areas, may not have access to the nearest bank branch. Okay, of course, those people can have an arrangement where they can get someone who has an account in the bank, okay, to help them change this money. Okay, so I don't expect everybody in the rural area to start rushing to the nearest bank branch, to be able to do that. So if you have agents, in communities that can assist people to do that, that is what I think, what I see happening. Of course, those people may collect, some form of token by way of commission to take care of transport costs, and so on. But again, that is better than expecting somebody in a rural area to, take the pains to go to the nearest bank branch, to be able to do that. So I think the agent banking arrangement, will go a long way to ease the inconvenience that will arise as a result of this measure.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So let's just see how that would go. We hope that the agent banking system can actually, help you create accounts. I think that's a much more safer way, talking about someone's hard-earned money.
Yes, but as I said,
such
at the
that
end of the day, it's not everybody that will end up. You see, whether we like it or not, the reality is that the cash economy will still remain. Okay, the cash economy will not go completely. The tomato seller, the crayfish seller, these people, deal with cash. But why the central bank is encouraging people to open bank accounts is that so that they can also enter the financial system, and enjoy financial services. Because only when you have a bank account that you stand a good chance of enjoying financial services, including access to credit, which micro businesses need. I think that is the intention, really. But what I'm saying is that reality is that the cash economy will remain with us. In the case of India, for example, I was just reading a paper, published by one professor in India. The professor was saying 6 years after this type of exercise took place in India, demonetization took place in India in 2016. Remember, November to December. Part of why I also think our own will be better is that of India was a surprise announcement on the eve of November 8th. Okay, and then thing commenced on November 8th. But in Nigeria, the central bank is allowing a long time before the commencement on the 15th. Yes.
Yeah.
So the paper was saying that 6 years after, the cash economy has also remained, in India. A lot of people still prefer to use cash. Yes.
All
but
right.
what's
I'll
important
hold
is
your
that,
thoughts there.
Yes.
Of course, we'll come back to you. Let's quickly take a break. It's a Weekend File. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. The 13 years of insurgency had led to the closure of all rural bank branches in local governments of Borno State, with the financial institutions yet to reopen despite improving security situation in some areas. Borno State government is making frantic efforts towards ensuring microfinance banks are established in the local councils to fast-track deposit of monies to meet up the target of expiry dates of the old notes. Yagumsu Bukar reports.
Activities of Boko Haram insurgents had forced banks in the rural areas considered unsafe to suspend operations for over a decade, thereby subjecting the locals to accessing banking services in only 3 council areas out of the 27, with Biu in the south, Jere and Maiduguri in the state capital. The pronouncement by CBN to take campaign to the grassroots on deposit of money towards actualization of the redesign of some selected Naira denominations has led Borno State government to put in place measures to meet up with the timeline, considering the peculiarity of the situation.
We are so much happy with this process because we'll be able to get a lot of data for our planning processes of the state. We have it, but we want to even get more of this planning process. But right now, we are making sure that the Borno Renaissance Bank will be able to open a lot of their sub-branches in some of these rural areas so as to capture all the deposit.
We at NOAA will start our sensitization, especially to reach out to our traditional, our religious and community leaders. We have women group and women market leaders and all this. We can reach out to them and then try to sensitize them, to tell them this is what government is trying to do, and that is the period given by the government. So they should try as much as well to encourage their people to take their money to the bank.
With security improving, resettlement on course, and return of civil authority, stakeholders are suggesting that rural banking in remote areas be revived for enhanced socio-economic recovery.
They are calling on the government to actually re-strategize and then come out with a very, very strategic way
through which they can reach out to these local farmers. Maybe the government collects the money at where they are, then exchange it to them.
The first thing we need to do is to revive the failed rural banking program. Secondly, we should fight corruption. And thirdly, we should also be serious about making the economy cashless.
And from Yobe State, the news of the redesign of the Naira notes was received with mixed feelings, especially among the rural dwellers who constitute a higher population and are not aware of the policy, while commercial banking services are only available in 4 out of the 17 council areas. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
All right, good effort coming all the way from Borno now. Prof, we're running out of time, so just this last question before we let you go. Looking at all the factors, the fact that some people are yet to be reached, sensitization is quite low, yes, and all of that, and the fact that banks are few, like we already established. Yes. So don't you think that these are reasons why the central bank should actually reconsider the deadline for this policy?
Well, deadline 31st December.
31st January.
31st January 2023. The central bank, in that press, release, said that it would, watch, the situation, and of course, I think if there's need to extend, the central bank, will extend. But what is important to note is that it is not all denominations that are being redesigned. It's only 200, 500, and 1,000. So we still have 10 naira, 15 naira, 100 naira in circulation. And in these rural areas, we talk about, okay, my own experience is that what is prevalent there in terms, when you talk about velocity of money, what exchanges hands there, more frequently are the lower denominations. So those lower denominations still remain, legal.
So of course, your advice would be that you should exchange your money to lower denominations,
my advice to
you don't get caught up in the deadline.
Advice is that this campaign and sensitization should also emphasize that point, that these other denominations are not going away; they remain legal, legal tender, and those tomato sellers and so on can still.
Fall back to those lower denominations.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Professor Uche Waleke, Professor of Capital Markets from Nasarawa State University. All right, so let's take another quick break, and when we come back, let's have sports now.
It's good news for the teeming audience of the Nigerian Television Authority, as the station is set to beam live matches of the World Cup on NTA network, NTA Sports 24 channel on Star Times, and other NTA stations on terrestrial channels.
It's a master stroke, bringing Nigerians closer to the game they love most.
That is quite commendable. The Eagles not being there is painful, but this is a consolation.
They are going to be at par with others, which they are even older than.
They've been one of the sure plugs right from when I have been watching the World Cup. So I really can't wait to start enjoying all the games live for them.
As a result of the significant rise in casualties at swimming pools and beaches across the country, the Nigeria Aquatics Federation has launched its life-saving project tagged Safety in the Beaches and Swimming Pools. The unveiling, which brought together stakeholders in the water industry, sought to develop policies and regulations to ensure safety.
And the need to train more people, because if the people are not trained, they will not be able to deliver the services.
To ensure that indeed everybody, as much as possible, have life-saving skills.
The Federation is demanding that every pool in the country must have a well-trained lifeguard certified by the body. With sports updates, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
All right, everyone cannot wait for the World Cup to kick off tomorrow, Qatar 2022. I'll be watching. I'm sure you will too. Of course, the NTA is the station to be on too. That's Weekend Foul tonight. Many thanks for watching. Please remember, rape is a crime. Do donate for. Good night.